Hello, I'm Teresa Lukens, and I'm here with Roger and Kim Bartholomew to talk about their son, who they lost to a fentanyl overdose. Thank you both for being here.
Welcome.
Let's talk about your son, who he was, and a little bit of background on him.
Well, he was born in August of 1982. He's a beautiful little boy, and he was all boy right from the start. He was rambunctious, liked to play a lot, and very, very outgoing, had a lot of friends, always had a lot of friends, and did well in school, did real well in sports, played all the different sports and excelled at baseball in particular. He got a job down at the feed store when he first got out of school, and then eventually got a job at the railroad. And he had a good paying job and took care of his family good. And married a beautiful gal, Cynthia, his wife, and had two beautiful children, Julian and Lucian. And Julian was 3 years old when he passed away, and Lucian was 2 weeks old at that time. Mm. Very devastating to him.
Mm-hmm. And Kim, he was 35 when you lost him. What led up to that? What transpired to get to that point?
Well, he had a back surgery a number of years ago, and kept having trouble with his back. And he was taking, at the time, I think he was prescribed what they called Opana. And Opana is a drug that was taken off the market because it's too addictive. Mm. Well, it was kind of too late then. He'd already become addicted. So it was hard to get so I know they were buying pills, pain pills and stuff, and getting some prescribed for him. But he had a very difficult time with that, and came from had to get his back operated on. It's just the way it started, simple prescription. And like I say, then we find out later, how addictive this Opana was. And it was taken off the market, but it was too late for our son.
Were you aware this was going on?
No, not for most of the time, just the last 6 or 8 months. We'd confronted him earlier in the year in, I believe it was March of that year, 2017. We confronted him in the spring and asked him what's going on, Well, he told us, and so we started working together, trying to talk to each other all the time, make sure we kept contact. And I went to some meetings with him and things like that with Narcotics Anonymous, and tried that way, and it was too difficult for him. He couldn't do it that way, so he went to a treatment center in Tennessee, was out there for a month, and was back, I would say, 1 month when the day he died.
Kim, what did you notice about his behavior that led you to believe that he had a problem? Was he acting erratically, differently?
No.
Sleepy all the time. When we confronted him, I asked him, I said, I know there's something wrong because you can fall asleep standing up when I'm talking to you. Most people don't do that. I never had it happen before. And then he started opening up to us and telling us. I think he was glad to get it off his chest. And it had caused, we didn't know it at the time, but it had caused a lot of financial problem for his family, and difficult for his wife, very difficult for his wife, young, beautiful young woman with two beautiful little boys, and she's a widow, just like that. That was the first thing we noticed, I guess.
Did she ever come to you with concerns?
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
And that's when we all talked to him.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the day that you lost him. What do you know about that day?
It was a great day. They only lived a couple blocks from us, so they usually came over. We usually had dinner together as a family. And he was there with the two boys and Cynthia, and we were talking about a stray bird had taken home in our house. So we were talking about building a little cage for him or something that weekend where he could get food and water and not worry about the hawk or stuff like that. And we were going to do that weekend, made plans for it, and ate dinner, visited for several hours, and he went home. And about, I guess about 11:30 at night, my daughter-in-law called us. She was in a panic. And she said, Ross is on the floor, and he's blue. He's on the floor of the bathroom. And she had a 2-week-old baby that she was nursing at the time when she discovered this. And she was trying to do CPR and trying to instruct the ambulance how to get in there and all this stuff at the same time. It was extremely traumatic and very difficult for her, very difficult. And they worked on him for a long time, and they wouldn't let us see him for the longest time. And then after several hours, we got to see him, and that's what it is. It's your son laying on the floor dead with all kind of tubes stuck in him, and his fingernails turning, hands turning blue. When the firemen were back there working on him, or the medics, in the bathroom, and then they went through his wallet or something. They found some blue pills in a little baggie, and everything changed right then. Then they all got special suits on, and the coroner was visiting with me and told me, he said, well, we've had officers die from touching the stuff. And then they brought in the detectives. It was very traumatic.
Mm-hmm. Any idea at that point what those blue pills were?
Well, we didn't know, but the coroner told us he thought they were probably fentanyl. And we'd never heard of it. He said they're made to look like another kind of, I think he said OxyContin or something, he said, and but they're not. And told us they were kind of a homemade deal. You don't have any geniuses mixing those up. And then they told us what it was. We did get the autopsy back. They told us what it was, and the detectives right away, they were on top of it right away and asked us a lot of questions, and we were confused about that.
Do you know, Ross knew that's what he was buying, was fentanyl?
don't
Or
think
did
so.
he
No,
believe
I
he
don't-
was buying something else?
I don't think so, because they were like the pills he was getting from a doctor at one time that was called OxyContin. The pills looked all the same to me, but of course they weren't. The coroner explained to me one was manufactured in a garage in Pasco, probably, or somewhere along the course of this stuff coming into the country.
The way they explained it to us was in a handful of 5 pills. One guy could take that and be just fine, and he could take another one and be just fine, but this guy took one out of the 5 and was gone.
Just that deadly.
Yeah, we had no idea, of course, what we were dealing with. No idea. Our life just dramatically changed in the next few minutes. And never be the same again.
And what did they start to uncover in the investigation?
Well, first they figured out who sold it to my son, which was his best friend. And then they found the guy he was getting it from. And I don't know how much farther they went up from that. Those were the only 2 that we were asked to participate in the trials.
And at the trial thing, both of them turned and apologized to us. Ross's friend was the hardest, of course. And the other guy, I couldn't really even look at him. But I did have to, I believe I wrote a letter for both of them. I had to say that in my heart that I had to forgive because I don't believe that his friend, I mean, it wasn't like he was trying to do something, to my son. They were best friends. And he was part of our family too, so it was really hard.
And the bad thing is, after they knew my son died, they continued to sell the same batch of pills. So that was pretty tough to stomach. You know, how many people are out there playing Russian roulette and they don't even know it? It was a very difficult time.
This is extremely difficult for you, I know. You've probably been asked to offer advice occasionally, I would guess, to other parents to try to keep this from happening again. What do you say? What would you say?
I would say at the first sign of any kind of drug use, get involved and get involved for all you're worth. Because all your dreams will be lying there on a bathroom floor, blue with tubes sticking out of them. You know, and no matter when you think of your child, that's what you think about. It's just, you can't get rid of it. And I think that I would say as soon as you notice any kind of aberrant behavior, don't be shy, don't be scared to run them off or their friends off or whatever. If you have to take decisive action, their life may depend on it. You don't know. It starts out innocent enough, a prescription or somebody got some pills from their mom's cabinet or something. You know, who knows how it starts with kids. But with our son, it started with a prescription, a legal prescription from a surgeon. And you really need to be watching those kind of signs and stuff, and erratic behavior, or stuff that doesn't make any sense. And like standing up and sleeping when you're in the middle of a conversation. I mean, be very serious, and because your child's life may very well depend on what you do at that moment.